Tyvis, we'll get into NIL, but just for an update, tell the people what you've been up to and how everything's been for you.
Oh, I've been doing radio, been applying for a couple of positions in Cleveland, but I've also been working 97.1 The Fan in Columbus. This week I've been doing the Buckeye Show from 6 to 8 with Timmy Hall, and we've been having a grand old time. So, if anybody want to tune in this week, I'll be on today, tomorrow, and then Saturday I'm doing a Fan Sport Saturday with Eric Reeser from 12 to 3. So.
You've obviously been in the area paying attention then with the football team. How do you think they've looked so far in the spring?
They improved. The defense was obviously the big thing that everybody wanted to see if it would be a change to it. I thought that, at first they came out, the offense was, getting over on them a little bit, but it was JSN. And I'm like, okay, that's JSN. He's like the best receiver in the nation. So I get that. As the spring game went on, I started seeing the defense start making plays, and that's what I wanted to see. Did they have the ability to make plays? Could they come up and tackle? Were they leveraging the ball? Those type of things right there, because last year I think that's what the big problem was.
I think some fans are always curious of what do guys do in these next couple months before they come back to summer camp. What is important? What's important for a player to do, and what do they do with this time off?
Well, enjoy each other's company. That's one. I mean, you get that after going through all that spring ball and stuff, it's finally a chance to just breathe and relax. Finals is coming up, so you get more time to study, be able to focus more on your schoolwork. And just enjoy each other's company, get to hang out with guys more. You got to worry about stressing out going to practice and learning the playbook. Although I will say, when I was there and we was in school, we definitely kept coming up there and kept working on things, and maybe it wasn't, like 4 times a week like they were doing. Maybe it's only like 2 times a week, but, just letting the body rest, but making sure that you're still in tune.
Some guys might use this as a chance for NIL. That's what we're talking about today with high school athletes too. Just what were your initial thoughts when you heard that? They said high school athletes could get paid. What were you thinking?
Now listen, before I wanted to go on record and say, I am not a hater. If they pass it and they get paid, good for them. But I don't think it's a great idea. I just really don't, because, it's one thing is I feel like it'll make it an unfair advantage, for certain schools. For example, if you go to St. Ed's, like a kid to go to St. Ed's, yeah, they'll make a killing off of it, because St. Ed's is a big name school. People will pay to give them deals and stuff like that. But if you go into a place, say like, I don't know, Bedford, would you get that same recognition? Probably not, because it's not, it won't be seen in the same light. So I just think that's it. And then I think it will make kids transfer to places like St. Ed's or any place that got open enrollment, like Glenville, I think is open enrollment, Cleveland Heights, stuff like that. And I think those teams will become more stacked within hopes of kids trying to get exposure so they can get more money. And I think that it'll make the high school level football kind of one-sided. You'll expect to see the same teams every year because they're getting all the recruits and they're getting all the people that's transferring into those schools. So that's the problem that I see in it.
Take me to a 16-year-old you. If someone's coming with a deal and they're like, hey man, sign right here, we'll give you some money. How would that have affected you as a 16, 15-year-old coming up? Highly.
I'd have been like, let me see your pen. That's what I would say. Give me a pen. Let me sign there before you take that comma out of there. I think, a 16-year-old kid that's broke, that doesn't have a job and, is looking to, try to help out, especially in a poverty situation, trying to help the family as much as possible. You get a couple of dollars, you be able to come home with a couple of dollars to throw on the table. Everybody's obviously for that. And having the latest fashion, having the best shoes. Oh, in high school, oh man, these kids will eat that up. So I definitely think if they throw some money in these high schoolers' face and it's legal, oh yeah, where do I sign?
I think part of the maybe the other side of the argument is it's coming in college one way or another, so you better be ready for it. And if it's in high school, maybe it gives them a little bit more practice. They learn how to navigate that field, because it's crazy right now of who's coming and all the offers that are coming in. Do you think it's a good thing from that side of things that at least the kid is learning or maybe it's a detriment because it didn't go well in high school and it won't go well in college?
I mean, I obviously, the more you see it, if you get exposed to it at a young age, obviously it helps you be more prepared for it. I think the difference between college and the NFL, or not the NFL, wow, college and high school is that in college, you got people that's marketing, you got your school that's going to help you navigate through it, teach you the things. Like, think about it, like they got to pay taxes on that money in college. You tell a high school kid, don't spend all this money because you do have to pay taxes on it. It's like they'll be having the IRS hit them up in high school. So I just think it's too much of a responsibility, I think, to put on a 16-year-old kid. And I don't know how well they'll navigate. Now, granted, the parents will probably help them, but it's not like everybody knows how to handle money correctly. So, that I think you're putting them in a rough situation. And like I said, I get the fact that you want to expose them at a young age. That's fine and dandy, but I think maybe start with just a small amount. Put a salary cap on it or something. Put a cap on how much they can make, so it can't be something crazy. So they'll be able to manage that. And then when they get to college, obviously the cap can come off and they can do whatever they want there.
You mentioned parents. Sometimes they can be a bit irrational, I guess is the nice word for it. If their kid's not playing, it used to be my kid's not getting enough playing time. Now it's my kid's not playing, they're not getting paid. Can you see that being a problem of parents coming to coaches, kids coming to coaches being like, I deserve to play and I want to get paid? How would that maybe affect the morale of the team and also just a kid's upbringing through that sport?
Well, it definitely be very stressful on a coach. I mean, I talk to some of the college coaches now, and that NIL thing is very stressful. Like it's like, wow. At Ohio State, I'm hearing a lot of stress going on with that whole NIL thing. So I can only imagine on a high school level, it'll probably be amplified 10 times. I mean, nowadays you got parents coming there saying, why isn't my kid playing? He's trying to get a D1 scholarship. Now you put money into the equation. That's a whole nother conversation because, one thing you don't do is play with people's money. That's when things get out of control. So I think, that's another burden that shouldn't be put on high school coaches. Obviously, if I had the benefit of coaching high school, I would definitely switch it around. I'd say, won't you come watch practice? And then we're going to see what your son do or daughter does in practice. And you tell me, and we should put them out there. That's how coaches should handle it. But that's just my theory. So I think it would definitely amplify the situation in high school. Putting a lot of stress on the coaches trying to please these parents, and now you got to promise these kids certain passes. Like if you're a wide receiver and I recruit you to come to my school, now I got to tell you, oh, don't worry, we'll get you the ball 6 times a game or something like that. And now you got to hold up that deal of the bargain. It is, don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you, open it up a can of worms.
I wonder how you would have viewed it too as a high schooler. Part of it is it makes you grow up a little bit quicker. And maybe that's a good thing, but also you kind of do lose a little bit of that, just get to be a kid for a while. Where do you land on, I'm ready to make some money? It would have been great for me back in the day, and I wish I would have had that, or I'm glad it happened the way it did, and I'm glad it shaked out the way it did because I was able to focus on what was important, which I don't know what it was for you, but maybe school, football. Where do you land on that?
I mean, honestly, would it have been nice back in the day to make a couple of dollars in high school? Absolutely. I mean, anybody that tells you otherwise is lying completely. But I do think it kind of takes away a little bit of that I need to make it to the next level desire. I mean, because granted now, the good thing about it is it's a lot of kids that, excuse me, in high school is just head and shoulders above everybody else. It's like they're an unbelievable talent and they get to college sometimes and it doesn't pan out. And then they'll say, well, if I got paid in high school, I would have made a bunch of money. And that's true, and that's just part of how life is. I mean, before NIL was even a thing, it was great college athletes who didn't do well in the NFL. So they never made the money that they were supposed to make. And I think that's just kind of how, as far as football, it's part of any sport. That's how it goes. It makes you, the fact that the money, if you take the money out of the equation, it makes you grind that harder with hopes of trying to one day get that big payday. And I think obviously if you get it in high school, it takes away from that a little bit less. It's like, okay, I got a couple of dollars, so I ain't got to work that hard. And then you get to college. I made a couple of 100,000 up in college, so it ain't that big of a deal if I don't make it. And I think that takes away a little bit, and I don't like that. Like in high school, it was like I got to get to college because my goal is to make it to the NFL. To take care of my family. It's my dream. I love playing the game. You get to college, you try to dominate because it's like I want to get to the NFL. Obviously, the money's there. I want to take care of my family, blah, blah, blah. If you handling all that before you get to the NFL, it takes away from the big thing. Like, it's like, I did it. Like, it's like you did it in college. So it's like, what is the NFL even that important to you anymore? And that's kind of where, I'm on the fence of that whole thing.
My last question for you is just, you've been there before, and guys hearing this will look up to you. If it does pass, what would your advice be to a junior, a sophomore, a senior, even in high school right now, of how to handle and how to navigate the situation? Because none of them have been there before. I'm sure they're hearing things from their friends who are in college right now. But what would you maybe give some advice on them on how to handle this whole situation?
Oh, well, what I would tell them is, go to a place, if you're getting great coaching in high school, then you don't need to leave. If you're in a great program, obviously it's going to take care of itself. As far as when the money comes, make sure that you are, putting some money to the side. Don't spend everything. Put the money to the side because, like I say, taxes does come around, and you will have to pay that money on that tax. But just be smart with your money. This money that you're gonna receive in high school is nowhere near the amount of money you're gonna get in college, nor are you gonna get in the NFL. So it's not something to fall in love with. Don't get complacent, I would say, is the biggest takeaway. This is just small potatoes to what you could possibly get, when you make it to the NFL. So make sure you keep that hunger inside of you. And one day, if you handle business correctly, you'll be able to take care of your family and, get that house that you want or the car that you dream about so much. Don't fall in love with it at such a young age, like getting the material things. Make sure if you play this game, you want to do it because you want to be great at it. You want to leave a legacy at it. And if you just fall in love with just the money, you won't make it far.
Well, man, I appreciate that perspective. I think it's good for everybody to